It's been quite some time since I made my last video to making this one. Let's see where we're at here. Last we left off, there's a transmission on the floor. There's no longer a transmission on the floor. The Blazer now has its transmission back in it. It is driving. When I got my converter back from PTC, I also changed out the flex plate, so I had to space out the converter. Everything seems to be running very smoothly, with the exception I do have a slight transmission leak from the pan gasket. It really kind of sucks because I'm probably going to have to change that out unless I get enough heat cycles in it to where it's not going to leak anymore, but I doubt it's going to happen. I've driven this thing 3 times now. I've let it start and idle a couple different times since then. But right now, as it sits, I mean, the lube locker gasket's not really holding up, and it sucks because I have a lube locker gasket on my 9-inch for the Blazer, and I also have a lube locker gasket for the 8.8 that's going in the Chevette. I like the gasket. It's a really solid looking piece, you know, and it's very well priced. So it really kind of sucks that, you know, if that's the case, I don't know, we'll see what happens. I have made sure that the pan gasket was torqued properly to spec. Even though the guy who built it, I know he built the Power Glide for the Chevette, so I trust him, but just double checking because you never know. The only other things I've done with the Blazer since then is I obviously have the new radials on it for this year. I did swap fuel pumps, so I went from the 625 that will now go into the Chevette project, and I will be swapping, and I swapped in a 750. Now the fun part is I thought maybe the 750 went bad. I was driving it after doing the swap, and after the first pull, the Blazer shut off. It died, and nothing happened. I don't know what was going on. I couldn't figure it out. And then I looked at the fuel pump relays. The connectors to the relays were cracked and expanded from heat. The wires were super hot. So something happened with those fuel pump relays. I did buy them used from a friend. I got a new dual fuel pump relay set up for it. It's running great. Everything's fine. Everything's hunky-dory. So the Blazer is good to go. Now that we've yacked about this, let's yak about the Chevette project. It has been moving along very well. I've got quite a lot of parts on here, mounted, changed, etc., etc. One of the things that I will start with that was called finishing lines or finish lines. They originally went with them because they make a full brake line kit with like an adjustable proportioning valve for S10 chassis. So when I look on their website, they had a throttle cable for Hondas, like K series, B series, H series, and they have different lengths, you know, because like depending on what your car looks like, how it's set up, you can actually cut these to length too. So I bought like a 30-inch long cable. I've cut quite a bit out of it, I'll be honest. So it really nice, mounted into my B series blocks racing throttle body really well. The mounting brackets here on the K Power, and it fit really well into the firewall. There's a little locking tab that slides down, and then you just sandwich it in by sucking it up. One of the really cool things that I personally found was really helpful, because again, it's GM, and that's not made for something that's GM, is the way the throttle cable mounted to my throttle pedal. So as you can see, the little tab, actually the locking tab back there, mounts really well. Just slides in, pinches up, and then look at this piece. It just slid right into the stock location of my Chevette throttle pedal. Like, it's so good. It just dropped in there. I didn't have to like sand it down or widen that hole or nothing. It fits so good. I actually really like when you have parts that fit perfectly and they're not even supposed to go together. Like, the cohesion is so cool. So, got that done. Also may have noticed, looking at the throttle cable, I have a blow-off valve mounted. I have the 50mm blow-off valve from Summit. Really nice piece, really good design, and very solid. I already ran a referencing point for the blow-off valve for all that stuff. A nice little piece right there. Then I had mounted my fuel pressure regulator that has a boost reference set up for Magna Fuel. So I got that mounted. Originally I wanted to put it right here where this 90 is, but because the fuel pressure regulator sits a little bit lower right there, It actually sits too low that I could not put a fitting in here because of this on my belt tensioner, which is what it is. So I'll have to run a feed from under here to here, and it'll run backwards, and then it'll connect, and the return can go back that way. So got that done. Blow-off valve. The radiator is mounted completely. I got the other bracket made, so the radiator is in there. I put some rubber in between here and the radiator, so that way we don't have any really bad rubbing. I still have some tape on here, but that's only because all this is going to eventually come back out so I can paint the engine bay. I'm getting everything kind of set up. The other part is I got the, although you can't see it because I already mounted it, right here is the intercooler mounting bracket. I welded all that up, and yes, I said welded. So the intercooler sits right here. Really nicely, it's in there, it's solid. I cannot get the bottom grill bolts in because the 2-inch intercooler piping is too thick for me to stick my bare paws up and connect to these mounting brackets. And it is what it is. Maybe I'll just do like the OG like baling wire trick where you just put some baling wire and wrap it in there, and just, or speaker wire, not that bad. But so yes, I did weld that, and that was my very first weld I ever did. My buddy Corey over at Barefoot Willie's Speed Shop, I think is what it's called. I always messed it up. He mounted and welded in my wastegate setup. I talked to a few people. They said that this is going to be fine for what I'm doing. It's perfectly fine. This is Summit Racing's 50mm wastegate. I actually think I'm going to buy another one and upgrade it onto the Blazer, because the Blazer right now runs a single 44. I think I'm going to upgrade to a 50. I do have a 60 sitting somewhere in a box over there, but I think the 60 is going to wait for the next engine setup if I go bigger. So we've got that going. Now, on to my current project that I have, and that is the exhaust. So I did use the flux welder to weld up some, this is stainless 304, I think is what it's called, to weld this up here. I know they're not the greatest welds, but this is like the second thing I've ever welded. So it's set up, it's nice. I am taping and cutting and kind of fitting things quite along here. So the plan is to come around here, shoot straight across, and then dive down that way. So that's my current project right now that I'm working on. Before I continue with that, I also mocked up the shifter mount for the Chevette's Power Glide. One of the issues I am running into is the original shifter cable is like a 3-foot cable, and it touches the front side, or the back of the front sump is dang near how long it is. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I want to go with a custom cable, but some people are saying just loop it and zip tie it and it'll be all right. And I don't really know. I don't really want it to be that janky, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get things done. I don't want to spend an arm and a leg on a custom shifter cable. I mean, if there's a company out there that makes them, please direct me to them. That'd be awesome. One side little project that I got done was I mounted my, by the way, this is how I'm kind of marking out my area for the exhaust with the blue tape, so just ignore that. But I did mount a like nice little Jegs overflow tank back here. I think they're like $100 on their website. Really nice piece, really easy, really simple. Got like a little clear tube that runs here. It's got some little P clamps that go over here. I use hose clamps instead of P clamps, or not P clamps. I can't remember what they were, but I use little hose clamps for both sides, so it'll just loop in. I do have an idea of how I'm going to fill and bleed the coolant system, and we'll get to that eventually one day, maybe. On to the shifter. So like I was saying, the shifter cable is literally right there, and it touches the backside of the front of the oil pan. Now where the shifter is mounted is right here. I do have one of those little shift solenoids in here. I mean, it's a Power Glide, so I mean, I just felt it was a very smart idea to have that if I'm driving this, and it's such a small wheelbase that I think maybe I'll have to have my hands at the 10 and 2 position in case it gets squirrely. Now, where it's mounted at is actually perfect because I, unfortunately, am not a big man. I am 5'9", and I am all the way back in this seat. I mean, it's a very tight car. If you're over 6 foot, do not get in this car unless you don't have a gut and you're very skinny. Then you can maybe fit in this car, but I do. So anyways, super, super far back, and right now my hand is in a very comfortable rest position. I could just, well, this is going to be the trans brake, but I could easily rest my hand on this right here, no problem. So it's mounted directly right over here, over top of the e-brake handle. So we're gonna have to figure something out. Probably won't run an e-brake, it'll be all right. I don't care. But then the cable goes down this way. I wish it could have ran it here, but that means I would have to get rid of all this and just put this onto the floor, which, I mean, if we had to, we had to. If we didn't, we don't. And I like this shifter because it's high enough that I don't have to like reach down. But I will just move this cable right here in this little pocket and then build a plate to cover this and then figure something out to make it look nice. Looking nice will be the later problem. And then obviously I have a radio to put in there. I've got a block off plate because I don't run heat or AC yet. I am going to put the original dash cluster back in here. And since I'm going to be running Fuel Tech, maybe I'll build some like nice mount or whatever to put the Fuel Tech right here. Like maybe 3D print something. I think that would be pretty cool. But with all that, that's where I'm at with the interior stuff. I'm saving all the transmission stuff for kind of after the fuel system. Just because that's kind of how my brain wants to work this problem. And technically by working this problem, I mean avoiding this problem. But regardless, I think that's kind of where I'm at with everything. I will definitely pick back up here and show you where I'm at with the exhaust. Once I kind of get everything situated and how I like it. Boom! So again, this is stainless steel 304, I believe is what it was called when I ordered it. It's very shiny, but it will be dulled once I kind of clean up all the welding and Cerakote it. Because I want to Cerakote all this for heat purposes, including maybe the manifold. But right now, this is kind of where we're at. I did cut these two pieces, and then I added this 45 in, and then here's the 90. And although it may not look like it, this 90 actually shoots pretty straight down between the subframe and the engine where I wanted it. I still have to weld the underside. I'll leave it as a down pipe, just straight to the ground, and then maybe just revisit this later, or take it to a shop and we can put it on the lift and do that. I don't know. I have yet to decide because there's more pertinent things to do, which after I get this fully welded, I think the next step is going to be the fuel system. I've already got, like I said, I already have the fuel pump and I already have my filters. I just need to do fittings. I have the fuel lines. So I think what I'm going to do is just a stump like I did on the Blazer, and which, sorry, I'm trying to like peel this blue masking tape off. I'm multitasking. But I'm going to do 2 -10 bungs on the bottom side of the tank, and then I'm going to tee them together, and then to feed the fuel pump. I think that'd be a good idea. Why 2? I don't know. Maybe one is for a drain and the other one is, you know, I don't have to take off the freaking fuel pump to drain out the fuel if I need to, because I don't know if I'm going to do E80, a flex fuel setup or not. I should, because this is a drag and drive car. I could probably benefit from that. The Blazer is on E85. But back to the exhaust really quick. One of the other things that I need to deal with is the wastegate. Now, I know I say after the downpipe, I'm going to probably just focus on the fuel system, but while we're talking about the exhaust as well, this is a 2-inch pipe. I don't know if I'm going to recirculate it back into this 45 here. I might 180 the wastegate and shoot it straight down to the ground, or I could go with option C, which is a hater pipe out of the hood. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, option C, but it rains a lot in Missouri. I don't know. I'm kind of debating on it, you know, because it get a lot of water buildup in there, and that would really suck, especially getting water into the turbo. So I could do option C, and it'd be kind of cool. I know. I do want to drive this a lot, and I thought maybe just recirculating it back into the exhaust would be fine. I still have to weld an O2 bung for a wideband. I'm not quite sure where that would be placed. Again, it's kind of I got a lot more pertinent things to go through than the exhaust right now. I'm just kind of finishing this up just because I just really wanted to like weld and kind of figure all this out. Now I don't have the greatest welds in the world. I'll show you. I mean, those are rough. I haven't like grinded any of this down. This is all rough, raw as you see it. Not the greatest, not the best, so it'll be alright. But for now, I want to thank everybody who watched my videos, who has subscribed. Hopefully, if you are not subscribed, you just click on it. I don't drop videos quite often, so I do apologize. I want to try to be more consistent, but usually in between work and it was winter, I am a very hermited person in the wintertime. I do come out here to work, but it's very seldom. So now that the weather's warming up, I'm going to be more active in getting stuff done on this car. With that being said, I would love it if y'all did all the things, the commenting, the liking, and the subscribing. If you're not following me on Instagram, you'll probably get way more updates on my Instagram. It's lunchbox605. So that being said, I appreciate it. Y'all have a great one. Hopefully you can enjoy some nice weather. If you're not enjoying nice weather, hopefully nice weather comes your way.